What if everything you believe about yourself is borrowed? The name they gave you, the thoughts you repeat, the memories you carry like a heavy bag across the years. What if none of that is actually you? What if the most painful parts of your identity were never yours to begin with? What if every label you've worn, too much, not enough, broken, behind, unworthy, was nothing more than an echo someone handed you, and you unconsciously believed? And what if, right now, in the next few minutes, you could remember who you truly are, without fixing anything, without healing anything, without adding anything? Pause. Let this land in your body. This isn't a lecture. It's not a motivational speech. It's not another self-help trick for your morning routine. This is a remembering. And deep down, you've been waiting for it. You see, we live trapped in a hypnotic loop. A voice narrating everything, an identity built on survival, a past dragging behind us like chains we forgot we could drop. But what if that voice isn't you? What if the past isn't you? What if even your thoughts are not you? Right now, in this moment, there is a presence inside you that is not afraid. It's not lost. It's not broken. It doesn't need to prove anything. And it doesn't speak in words. It just watches, still, silent, awake. You've felt it before. In the pause between thoughts, in that strange calm during chaos, in the quiet when no one is around and your body exhales all the noise. That's the doorway, that's where we're going. And once you step through it, the old identity, made of fear, labels, and stories, starts to fall away like dust from your skin. Not because you forced it, but because the truth doesn't need to shout, it only needs to be seen. For the next 35 minutes, I'm not here to add more ideas to your mind. I'm here to take your hand and walk with you back to the center, to the place before the thoughts, before the identity, before the fear, to the place where you were never anything except awareness itself. And I promise you this, if you allow yourself to feel what's being said, beneath the surface, beyond the words, something will shift. Not in your mind, in your being, because who you really are has been waiting. And the moment you stop trying to find yourself in thoughts, roles, or the mirror, you'll feel it. The sacred pause, the presence behind the name, the stillness that was always watching. This is not theory, this is not philosophy, this is your own awakening. And it begins right now. Close your eyes for a moment and say the word hello inside your mind. You didn't speak aloud, you didn't move your lips, yet you heard it. Now ask yourself, who said it and who heard it? There is a voice inside you that speaks all day long, commenting, judging, reacting, narrating. You wake up and it's already talking. You try to sleep and it keeps going. It has an opinion on everything, from the weather to your breakfast to your worth. But here's the question that breaks the illusion. If you can hear this voice, who is listening? That is where your liberation begins. Not in trying to fix the voice, not in trying to control it, but in realizing you are not it. The voice is not evil. It's not broken. It's simply been running the show for too long without being questioned. Like a roommate that moved in without asking. And day after day, you let it rearrange your furniture, your mood, your perception of yourself. Most people live as if the voice in their head is them. But have you ever really watched it? Have you noticed how it contradicts itself, how it argues with itself, how it creates problems just to feel important? 1 minute it tells you you're amazing, and the next it whispers that you're not enough. That's not wisdom, that's noise. Now imagine if you had to live your life exactly as the voice dictated. Every fear it whispers, every memory it replays, every self-doubt it injects. Imagine letting it rule your choices. And then realize you've been doing that for years. It's not your fault. No one teaches us to observe the mind. We are born into thought, conditioned by thought, addicted to thought. But there is a deeper intelligence in you, a stillness that watches the thoughts rise and fall like waves, a presence that's been silently witnessing every moment of your life without saying a word. That presence is not interested in arguing. It does not seek validation. It does not rush. It does not fear. It just is. And here's the most important thing. The more you identify with the observer, the quieter the voice becomes. Not because it disappears, but because it no longer defines you. You can let it speak, but you don't have to believe. You can hear its noise and still return to the quiet center within you. Start noticing your thoughts like clouds passing through a vast sky. You are not the cloud. You are the sky. You are not the voice. You are the one who hears. This shift changes everything. The anxious thought can appear, but it doesn't paralyze you. The self-critical voice can rise, but it doesn't define your worth. Because now, you're watching from the seat of awareness, not reacting from the seat of identity. And that's the doorway, the first crack in the ego's armor. Not through force, but through recognition. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one who hears it. And once you truly see that, the voice begins to lose its power. Not because you fight it, but because you no longer feed it. The thoughts may still come, but now you remain. You were given a name before you even understood what a name was. And from that moment on, you began to believe that you were something fixed. Something shaped by language, by memory, by the stories others told you, and eventually by the stories you told yourself. But what if your name is just a tag on borrowed luggage? What if your entire identity has been a carefully stacked tower of roles, experiences, and emotional scars, built on a foundation that was never truly you? Think about it. You call yourself by your name. You say, I am this, I am that. I went through this, I survived that. You repeat your history like a mantra. You carry your wounds like trophies or chains. You say, this is who I am, when really, it's only where you've been. If your past had been different, if your parents were different, if your country, your skin, your memories, your traumas had all unfolded another way, would you still be the same? Who would you be if all your memories vanished tonight? This question doesn't erase your experiences. It reveals something deeper. It reveals that beneath every version of your story, someone has always been watching, unchanging, quiet, aware. Even in your most painful memories, there was something in you that witnessed it all. The pain came, the fear surged, the betrayal cut deep, but it passed, and you remained. So what does that mean? It means you are not your story. You are the one who holds the story. You are the blank page it was written on. This realization is uncomfortable at first, because many of us have built our entire sense of self on what happened to us. We become the one who was abandoned, the one who was never seen, the one who always fails, the one who fights to survive. But those are costumes, well worn, familiar, tight around the heart. And we forget. You are not what happened to you. You are the one who lived through it. You've survived storms your mind told you would destroy you. You've walked through nights that your voice said would never end. And yet here you are, not because your story saved you, but because something deeper carried you through. Your past is a photograph, not a prison. Your name is a sound, not your essence. Your pain is a wave, not the ocean. When you begin to separate yourself from these layers, a strange thing happens. You stop clinging, you stop defending, you stop needing to be someone, and instead, you start being. You notice that there's a vast open space where identity used to live. And in that space there's peace. Not because you became something new, but because you stopped pretending to be what you never were. This isn't spiritual bypassing. This isn't denial. This is clarity. You still remember, you still feel. But now you see from a place that isn't bound by the memory. You're no longer the story. You're the screen on which the story plays. And if you are not your name, not your past, and not your pain, then what are you? That's the question we're getting closer to. With each layer that falls, you return to what's always been here. Watching, knowing, free. Close your eyes for a moment and notice the feeling of your body from within. Notice the breath entering and leaving, the weight of your limbs, the gentle pulse behind your forehead, the rhythm of your heart, the temperature of your skin. Now ask yourself, who is noticing this? Since you were a child, your body has changed. You've grown, stretched, scarred, healed. You've looked in mirrors and watched the shape of your face shift. You've watched your hands become those of an adult. One day they will be older still, and yet something in you has remained unchanged. The one who watches, the one who feels, the one who knows. This is my body, but it is not me. Your body is sacred. It's the vehicle through which you experience this world, but it is not who you are. If it were, then every cell that's died and renewed would have taken a piece of you with it. And that hasn't happened. You're still here. You've been sick and said, I don't feel like myself. You've been injured and said, my body let me down. You've looked in the mirror and felt dissonance because deep down, you are not the image you see. Your body is more like a house, sometimes clean, sometimes messy, sometimes vibrant, sometimes tired. But you are not the house. You are the one who lives in it. You turn on the lights when you wake. You close the doors when you sleep. But you've always been the resident, not the walls. This is not a rejection of the body, this is reverence. Because once you stop confusing yourself with the body, you stop punishing it. You stop obsessing. You stop fearing every wrinkle, every scar, every illness. Because none of them can touch the one who sees. You've watched your body feel joy. You've watched it tremble with panic. You've seen it blush in love, freeze in fear, collapse in grief. You've watched it hold others, hold pain, hold tension. But you yourself remained the one who watched. Who you are is not the thing that changes. Who you are is the one who notices the change. So the question begins to arise. If I'm not the thoughts I think, not the name I answer to, not the past I carry, and not the body I wear, what am I? There's a silence just under the skin, a presence behind the eyes, a vast, open stillness that has been here your whole life, watching your body sleep, watching it move, watching it break, watching it heal, watching it want. And what's most extraordinary, what breaks the illusion entirely, is this. The moment you stop attaching to the body as you, the body itself begins to relax. The tension drops, the breath deepens, because suddenly, it doesn't have to carry the weight of being your identity. It gets to be what it was always meant to be, an instrument, not an identity. So now, without rushing, you begin to remember something ancient. That what you are has no shape, no face, no age. It is not born and does not die. It's not male or female, not strong or weak. It is simply here, still, present, awake. There is a subtle war happening inside you. Not a war made of noise and violence, but of tension and gripping. A quiet refusal. It's the invisible armor you wear when pain rises. It's the breath that stops when someone disappoints you. It's the jaw that clenches when you feel misunderstood. This is resistance, your attempt to protect yourself from what's already happening. But what if this very act of protection is the source of your suffering? When something uncomfortable enters your experience, a rejection, a memory, a fear, it rises like a wave. And instead of letting it pass through, you tighten, you push, you judge, you want it gone. But this resistance is not neutral. It creates friction inside you. It multiplies the pain. It turns an emotion into a trap. You don't suffer because you feel sadness. You suffer because you don't want to feel it. You don't suffer because you're afraid. You suffer because you try to escape the fear. Imagine holding a beach ball underwater. The effort it takes to keep it submerged is constant, exhausting. The moment you stop pushing, it rises, not violently but naturally. The same happens with your emotions. When you stop pushing them down, they surface, and when they're allowed to surface, they dissolve. What remains is space, peace, a breath that finally flows again. You were taught to control what you feel, to fix it, to hide it, to numb it. But no one told you that your freedom begins the moment you stop controlling. That healing doesn't require effort, it requires honesty, openness, the willingness to feel what's there without panic or punishment. You don't need to figure it out. You just need to stop gripping so tightly. Anger comes. Let it pass through. Shame rises. Let it burn its way across your chest without calling it wrong. Fear whispers lies. Let the whisper pass without answering back. You are not these things. You are the sky they pass through, and the sky doesn't resist the storm. It just lets it come and lets it go. Try this now. Think of something that recently made you tense. Feel where it lives in your body. Don't label it. Don't explain it. Just let it be there. Don't fight it. Don't feed it. Just notice it. Breathe through it. Do nothing. This is the art of non-resistance. This is not passivity, it's power. Because nothing is more powerful than a presence that cannot be shaken. Your mind may protest, but if I don't react, I'll be hurt again. If I don't resist, it'll never stop. But notice, the pain has already happened. The moment has already arrived. Your resistance isn't preventing it. It's replaying it, over and over again. Resistance is not protection. It's prolongation. What you resist, you rehearse. And what you allow, you release. Somewhere along the way, you started believing that peace comes from control, but it doesn't. Peace comes from surrender, from the courage to say, this hurts, and I can still stay open. That's when something shifts. That's when the grip loosens. That's when you realize the pain was never the enemy. Your fight against it was. And in that realization, the wound becomes a doorway. The pressure becomes release, and the story loses its charge. All that's left is space, stillness, and in that stillness you feel it. You've just returned to yourself. Letting go isn't something you think about. It's something you feel. It happens in the body before it happens in the mind. It doesn't require a perfect plan or a spiritual technique. It simply asks for willingness, willingness to stop holding on, willingness to feel discomfort without becoming it, willingness to return again and again to the part of you that never leaves. Most people live in a tight loop. A trigger happens. Someone says something goes wrong, a fear gets poked, and the mind kicks in. It analyzes, it replays, it constructs futures and reopens pasts. This loop becomes so normal, so automatic, that we forget we're participating. We think it's happening to us, but the loop only continues if we feed it. And feeding it often comes in the form of attention. Where attention goes, energy flows. Letting go begins when you stop flowing energy into the loop. You're stuck in traffic. Your body tightens, you want to scream or check your phone or mentally blame the world. But what if in that exact moment you chose presence? You noticed the tightness, you softened your jaw, you dropped your shoulders. You returned to breath, you let the moment be what it is. This is letting go. Not a philosophical idea, a physical shift, a sacred surrender to now, or you receive a message that stings. The mind instantly reaches for defense, story, anger, justification. But something deeper whispers, you don't have to go there. You can stay here. You can feel the heat of reaction rising in your chest and not follow it. You can let the energy move without giving it a name or a job. Letting go is not denial, it's observation without possession. It's the space between stimulus and response. It's where your power lives. The ego will call this weak. It wants reaction. It wants story. It wants control. But the soul knows better. The soul doesn't tighten around pain, it breathes through it. The soul doesn't cling to being right, it returns to being real. The soul doesn't rush to fix, it learns to feel. And in feeling fully, the charge begins to dissolve. What you stop identifying with no longer controls you. Letting go is a practice, not a one-time decision. You'll forget, you'll get pulled back in, you'll want to fight, to prove, to resist. But each time you remember, you return. You catch yourself in the loop, and instead of tightening, you open. Instead of rehearsing, you release. Instead of reacting, you relax. This is not the path of avoidance. It's the path of true presence. Think of letting go as turning on a light in a dark room. The darkness didn't need to be removed, it just needed to be seen. That's what happens when you bring attention to what hurts without trying to fix it. You allow it to be seen. And in that seeing, the charge begins to fade. You create space, and in that space, clarity returns. This is the practice. Pause, notice, breathe, release. Over and over. Not perfectly, not permanently, just honestly. Letting go doesn't mean the emotion won't visit again. It means that when it does, it won't take over the whole house. You'll greet it. You'll let it pass. And then you'll return to peace, to presence, to the witness who sees without judgment. And slowly the grip of life begins to soften. The noise loses volume. the stories lose urgency, and what's left is a quiet, undeniable truth. You are not the one who fights the storm. You are the space the storm passes through. The space between inhale and exhale. There is a moment, so brief, so silent, that it often goes unnoticed. It lives between the inhale and the exhale, between what comes in and what is released. A pause so subtle, it feels like nothing. But in that nothing, everything lives. Most people chase clarity in thoughts, solutions in words, peace in doing. But clarity, peace, and truth live in the pause, in that space between, in that breath that does not yet move forward or back. It's not stillness as an idea, it's stillness as a felt presence, the kind that doesn't need to speak to be understood, the kind that doesn't ask to be found, because it never left. Try it. Breathe in. Hold. Do you feel it? That quiet place before the next movement, that is where God lives. That is where your true self whispers without sound. In that space, there's no story, no past, no plan, just awareness, just life, untouched. The space between breaths is not empty. It's full. Full of potential, full of presence, full of you, the real you, the one that watches, that senses, that exists without needing proof. When you live from that space, everything changes. Not because the world changes, but because the center from which you see it becomes silent, steady, sacred. Imagine walking through your life as the space between inhales and exhales, not rushing to finish each sentence in your head, not gripping each outcome like your worth depends on it, but pausing, feeling, returning, again and again, to the awareness beneath every thought, behind every emotion, beneath every mask. This awareness isn't something you create, it's something you uncover. It was always there. Just like the sky doesn't disappear when the clouds come in, it's just temporarily hidden. So is your presence, covered by thoughts, buried under the noise, but it remains, watching, waiting, whispering, I am here. In the silence of that space, fear softens, shame melts, doubt forgets how to speak, and love, not the kind you chase but the kind you remember, returns. This is not poetry. This is physiology. Breath affects your nervous system. Your nervous system affects your emotions shape your perception, and your perception defines your world. To change your life, you don't always need to do more. You sometimes need to pause longer, listen deeper, feel fuller, breathe slower. When you learn to rest inside the breath, not just use it for oxygen, you find your center. And that center is never shaken. The space between the inhale and the exhale is your reset button, your reconnection, your reconsecration. It is the altar of your being, the temple of your now. When you learn to live from that pause, you stop being a prisoner of momentum. You stop rushing from emotion to reaction, from thought to belief, from fear to control. You begin to live like breath itself, moving in, moving out, but never holding too tight, never staying too long, letting life flow through you, not just around you. And in that flow, you remember, you are not the breath. You are not even the body that breathes. You are the presence that notices it all. And that presence, it is still. It is open. It is sacred. It is you. Awakening. You were never the ego. The ego was never you. It was only a shape you wore for a while, a mask molded by memory, trauma, praise, fear, comparison, a useful interface for survival, for interaction, but not your essence, not your being. The ego is what you learned. Presence is what you are. It mimics your voice so well you believed it was you. It reacted for you, defended you, chased things in your name. But all along, something in you watched it, questioned it, felt its weight. That watcher, that quiet one inside, never spoke loudly, but it never lied either. And now maybe for the first time you're listening. Waking up is not an event. It's not dramatic. It's not about fireworks or visions. It's about seeing clearly, without trying to rearrange what you see. It's about realizing that you don't need to fix the story to free yourself from it. You just need to stop identifying with the storyteller. When you look in the mirror and stop believing you are the reflection. When you feel a thought and stop believing you are the one who created it. When you experience pain and no longer say, "This is mine," you begin to break the illusion. Slowly, kindly, radically. The ego loves to be someone. The presence doesn't need to be anything. The ego wants a path, a goal, a reason to feel enough. The presence knows you already are. It doesn't require a title. It doesn't fear silence. It simply notices, breathes, allows, lives. And here's the great paradox. Nothing about your life needs to change for you to awaken. Because awakening is not about becoming new. It's about remembering. Remembering the you that was always untouched. The you that was there before your name, before your failures, before your dreams. The you that can't be broken, because it was never a thing to break. Even your greatest wounds happen to the body, to the mind, to the identity. But the one who witnessed the pain was never harmed. The one who watched the tears never cried. The one who held the fear never shook. That one is still here, still whole. This is not disconnection. It's the deepest connection there is, not to the noise of the world, but to the stillness behind it, not to the version of you that succeeds or fails, but to the one that sees it all with clarity, with compassion, without clinging. So now, you begin to move through the world, not as a role, but as a presence, not as someone needing approval, but as awareness itself, not seeking to control, but trusting the rhythm that breathes you. The ego still speaks, the emotions still rise, but something in you stays, centered. You no longer believe every thought. You no longer chase every story. You no longer fear every shadow. Because you remember shadows don't exist without light, and now you see the light. You are the light. The ego was not the enemy. It was just a shell. It was just a scaffolding. It served its purpose. And now it dissolves, not with force but with truth. The truth that you were never the mask, never the noise, never the ache. Living from the seat of consciousness. To live from this new place is not to escape life. It is to enter it fully, but from the center, not from the surface. It's no longer about controlling every outcome, managing every opinion, fixing every emotion. It's about allowing life to unfold while you remain seated in your own awareness, like the sky holding all the weather without becoming the storm. You walk through your day as before. The traffic still moves. The emails still arrive. The world still makes its demands, but something in you no longer tenses at every moment. You begin to notice the space between the trigger and your response. You begin to feel the sacred pause before the old reaction. You begin to choose. You speak, but the words don't come from defense. You listen, but not to argue. You feel emotions, but you don't drown in them. The seat of consciousness is not cold or distant. It's profoundly alive. It's the warmth that holds the pain, not the numbness that rejects it. It's the breath that softens the chaos, not the mind that analyzes it to death. There is now a softness in the way you inhabit your body, a tenderness in the way you look at others. You are no longer looking for yourself in their eyes. You are no longer begging the world to mirror your worth. The seat of consciousness doesn't need reflection. It shines on its own. Even your goals begin to shift. You still create, still dream, still act, but from overflow, not lack. From curiosity, not desperation. You are not trying to become someone anymore. You are being, fully, gently, radically. You wake up in the morning not asking, "What do I need to fix today?" but what is asking to be felt today. You move through conflict not wondering how to win, but how to stay open. You walk into a room not to impress, but to witness. You love, not to complete yourself, but to express what is already whole. This shift is not about perfection. You will forget, you will get caught again in the old loops, the voice will rise, the fear will grip, but you will return faster. Because the seat is always here, because you know the way back, because now you know the difference between you and your story. There is no technique to memorize, no secret formula to master. There is only the practice of returning to this moment. to this breath, to this awareness. Over and over, not with force but with devotion. Not because you must, but because it feels like home. And that is the new life. A life that flows from the inside out. A life where presence becomes the foundation. Where peace is not something you chase, but something you remember. Where the world remains as it is, but you remain as you are. You don't rise above life, you rise within it. You are already free. You searched for answers in names, stories, bodies, beliefs. You chased peace through effort, meaning through labels, love through validation. And all along the stillness was right here, closer than breath, older than time, untouched by thought. This stillness, this awareness, this presence, it's not something you became. It's what you always were. There is nothing more to reach, nothing more to fix, nothing more to prove. This isn't the end of a journey. It's the return to what was never lost. The voice in your head may speak, the pain in your chest may rise, but you now know you are not that voice. You are not that pain. You are the space in which it all unfolds. The sky, not the weather. The ocean, not the wave. The silent witness that remains, no matter how loud the world becomes. Freedom was never about escaping suffering. It was about no longer identifying with it. You still feel, you still care, but you no longer collapse into the experience. You hold it, gently, in the light of your awareness. And in that holding, everything softens. Even the deepest wounds become invitations to open wider. Even the most persistent fears begin to lose their grip, not because they're gone, but because you're no longer gripping them. There is a sacred kind of strength in letting life be as it is, a quiet power in no longer needing to rearrange the moment to fit your preferences. The old self believed that peace came after control. The awakened self knows peace comes from surrender. You are not the noise. You are not the chaos. You are the one who sees, and the one who sees is already free. There is no more secret, no more technique, no final gate to pass through. There is only this, awareness, breathing itself into being. You are the breath. You are the space. You are the love you are always waiting to receive. You are not your name. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are the one who sees it all. You are the stillness between thoughts. You are the breath between moments, and you've always been free. When the ego is quiet, truth doesn't need to shout, it simply shines. Let this video be the reminder, not the instruction. Let this moment be the beginning, not the conclusion. Let yourself return, not to an idea, but to the reality of who you've always been, the one who watches, the one who loves, the one who is. Now that the voice is quiet, listen.